Sorry, just getting some bites here, waiting for people to trickle in before we get going.
Same, I'm just
Bitcoin is
finishing up some orders.
Bitcoin's approaching new all-time high once again.
Oof,
Like
it's
we're gonna
gonna
be
be a
talking about that a
good,
lot
yeah,
over these
yeah, it's
coming
gonna be
weeks.
a good, exactly. So much fun. Look, okay, regardless of your political stance, you can't deny the fact that it feels like everything just changed from one minute to the next. Like for crypto, at least, it's just spectacular, man. It feels so good. It feels like we have open air now.
Yeah, for sure. Crypto speaking, it's definitely um yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Flip is switch has been flipped. Um yeah, we can start getting into it here. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, just finishing lunch. Yeah, welcome y'all. Talking shit coins. Um, yeah, we're just gonna chop it up basically about a number of different topics, anything shitcoin related. Basically, just try to improve as a unit, as a community here. Get ourselves set up for success. As I'm sure we already obviously previewed a little bit and dive into, but I think it's gonna be time here real soon where starts to get a little crazy. Um, hopefully the golden bowl that we're that we're all hoping for um, comes in. I think there's a lot lining up for us, so it should be fun. But yeah, I mean, this is open forum. Please hop in to the combo whenever you want. And you can also type too if you don't feel like talking on voice as well. But yeah, we can uh yeah, we can get going. Jinzo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Great, man. I just feel so good. We haven't felt this good in a couple years, I think, and it feels amazing to finally be back on the right, like on the upswing, basically. Yeah, sure, the bull run has been here, right? We felt that the bull run was already getting started, and we've had some decent pumps and stuff throughout the last few weeks and stuff. But it feels like now, like it just unlocked. It feels like the dam broke open, the water's flowing, and yeah, there's no way of stopping us now. It just feels like it feels like we're ready to go now. And I think anybody that's been involved in the space and isn't playing catch up already is going to be in a good spot to succeed. And for the rest, I mean, it's not too late. I'm sure people that had money on the sidelines and decided to start jumping in, they're right on time too. So yeah, sure, we obviously captured more of the upside since we've been here forever throughout the whole bear for a lot of us. But yeah, man, it just feels good. It feels good to be on the upswing again.
Yeah, like we were just saying, like right before the show started, just a couple minutes ago. The switch. I keep messing it up. I was gonna say the flip has been switched. The switch has been flipped. Um, yeah, I mean, I said I like kind of previewed this a little bit in shitcoin chat. What did I say? I think I said this earlier in shitcoin chat. But basically, like everything's kind of coming together. It's really hard to see a reason not to be bullish. It's like, and again, we're not gonna get into like a political opinions or anything, but in terms of uh, pro crypto candidates, like Trump was um, certainly the more pro crypto of the two, as far as uh, choices for president. I mean, he has launched multiple NFT collections. He's launching his own like DeFi project right now. And he's said obviously a ton of things about crypto. Bitcoin is going to be strategic reserve for the U.S., which would be absolutely insane. Um, and then a lot of other stuff. He's going to fire Gary Gensler. We'll see if those things come true, but there's at least the evidence of he's been in crypto. He's done stuff in crypto before, so it's not like he's anti by any means. We'll kind of wait and see like which stuff comes true. But just the fact that there's the promise of it, and that he's talking about it, it just gives a lot of confidence into the markets in general. And when there's confidence in Bitcoin, that trickles down, right? Because people want to go further and further down the risk curve. If Bitcoin's dripping, right, then they're like, oh, I missed out on Bitcoin. I'll buy ETH instead or whatever. I'll buy Sol instead, right? And then people want to get even more down. But then they're seeing like, oh, but like these other coins, like there's like these big meme coins that did really well last cycle, and look at they're up like 100%, 200% on the month, like compared to Sol is only up like 20% or whatever. Like, what if I just buy that instead? And then people just kind of keep going down and down the risk curve, and um, that's when you start to get a real bull run starting when people just want to speculate. It's honestly it's giving a lot more validation in general to the asset class of crypto, and I think um, I know this is a shitcoin show, but it all kind of matters. Like it still all kind of plays into that trickle down effect um, of our shitcoin bags as well. So yeah, man. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, more shitcoin specific. If you look at how much money was just bet on this election, right? People want to degen. They want to throw their money at gambling. And shitcoins and gambling are the exact same, obviously with an edge if you know what you're doing. But shitcoins are not going anywhere. Meme coins are not going anywhere. And it looks like now with maybe the SEC's tone that's going to change and other stuff that's going to shake up the industry, it just feels like we're just gonna get more and more volume into shitcoins and meme coins, right? People just they want that quick money, and yeah, it taps into the gambling gene perfectly. And if you know what you're doing, there's a big edge to have, and just taking advantage of the new people that are gonna come into the space, wanting to throw away money at a possible 100 or 1,000x. If you know how to play and you stick to your rules, we say it every time, but that's when you're gonna make money. You got to take advantage. It is very PvP, and you got to take advantage of others that don't know what they're doing. As cruel as that may sound, it's just NFTs was the same way. You had to take advantage of a situation, an edge that you had. So, yeah, I think they're opening the door to a lot more happening in the shitcoin and meme coin streets with this.
Um, yeah, I think in general, like I'm trying to think through how it's gonna play out to hopefully give us some context. Like I think it'll be like I said about the trickle down effect. Like we might, I don't know if we'll see an immediate boost to like new shit coins and like the volume there, maybe a little bit. Um, in my opinion, I think we'll get more. It'll be more like on the bigger stuff first. Like we're already seeing like Doge, for example, has been ripping like crazy, which makes sense too with Elon. Uh, you know, being attached to Trump as well, and like them talking about doing a Department of Government Efficiency, like which stands for Doge, like position for Elon. Um, and it makes sense in terms of people see Bitcoin at $75,000, right? The average person, they're like, oh well, what about Dogecoin? It's only 20 cents. Like I could make. What if it goes to $100 and I can make a ton of money? Um, so I think it'll probably be a little bit of a trickle down effect, and like so I'm personally like I'm allocate I like allocating more um in general. Like I don't know if I'm gonna go crazy in the trenches. There probably will still be runners. I still will be there, but I think opportunity right now is probably like some of the mid cap stuff, the established stuff. I can see going crazy. Like we talked about, like Fwog is my favorite for sure because it's still under a billion. It's still under $1. There's still a lot of room for growth on getting listings in different places, and it's just super established. But I think coins similar to that, like Popcat, even like Whiff, Pepe, like a lot of these big ones, Goat, where they're like really established and they already have like a pretty big presence. I think those could be the early ones that like more like normie people like catch on to and want to be more risk on towards.
I think that's a good point. We even saw it last night. We all expected there to be a million shitcoins and a lot of volume to come in on shitcoins, but it just feels like all the main coins ran, and that's where all the attention was, which makes sense in a way. The main coins run first, and then we kind of trickle down into the other sectors. I think we just these days we're just completely skipping over all the alts. We're going straight to memes and shit coins. But yeah, I mean, it just Bitcoin stole the show, and it might still for a little while since we're flirting with that all time high again. I think it's ready to rocket even higher. But anyway, the one thing I will caution though, and it's one thing we forget every year, December could be a little rocky. A lot of people like to sell to lock in profits for the year basically, right? Because the tax year changes. That's the one thing I'd be cautious about. But personally, I'm just gonna keep playing, and I'm not looking at December. I'm looking past December, so I'm still gonna stay involved, and I'm probably not gonna sell anything just to try to anticipate a dump, for example. I'm just gonna stay involved and keep my bags. And if a flash crash comes, so be it. I don't want to miss the upside. So trying to time the market is never a good idea, but just have that in mind that it might happen again.
Yeah, I could see that. Um, oh man, I had a point. Completely forgot what I was gonna say. Um, damn, do you hate that?
Yeah, we're so excited. Our minds are racing 1,000 miles an hour.
Oh, I remember now. I think I'm feeling this, and I'm sure a lot of people are feeling this. Like I feel like there's definitely like this wave along with like a switch. Like there's a bit of FOMO, an emotion. Like oh, I can't like I see people making money, and like maybe you're not allocated right now, or maybe you're not allocated to the right stuff, or whatever it is, and like whatever you're in is not pumping. I would say like really try to fight that feeling, and like um I don't think this is like a flash in the pan. I think like if we pump, it'll last for a while, right? There's still like so many things that can happen that are bullish, that can play out, and like we've kind of just been ranging for a long time. Um, that I do like if you remember back to like 2021 or whatever, like we like went up all of like 2020 for a good amount. Then like the entire like 2021 was like basically bull run. Even like early 2022 is yeah as well. So there's like at least like a full year there where it was like good conditions, right? So you don't have to rush into. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't think you need to rush into like a trade um right now if you're like not feeling like it, and especially like you don't need to like over allocate it's to a certain trade or whatever, like a percentage, like a too big of percentage of your own portfolio to something just because like you feel like you need to catch up or like get on the train or whatever. I know we're talking about obviously like we're super bullish or whatever, but it's still important to like properly analyze every spot that you're in, and make sure you're not just FOMOing, and you're not just buying something because you're seeing other people buy and like in trailing other people, like form your own conviction, right? And even if a play that pops up, people are on and you don't like, um, even if it goes crazy, like just know like there's gonna be so many opportunities, and like maybe the liquid that you didn't use for that play, there'll be a new one tomorrow, and that one does much better, for instance. So like I would just say like pace yourself, um, and continue to be smart about uh, like your strategy, and be disciplined.
Yeah, as hard as that may be to do sometimes, I mean, that's the play, right? You don't want to just jump in and FOMO, get that FOMO in check, sit back, just calculate what you want to do, think through it. And then, you have options. You could DCA, you could do so much. You can wait for a big dip that's going to eventually happen. I mean, every market has multiple dips per year. So there's no point in rushing. I mean, just think through it properly and try to fight off that FOMO. We all, even if I say that, we're all going to end up doing it anyway, but it's just about limiting it as much as possible.
Uh,
It's really hard, but it's gonna happen.
Patience is definitely key because, the election just happened. None of these candidates have actually even taken office yet. So the last thing anyone wants to do is like top blast your whole portfolio now, fuck up, and then be sidelined for when things actually start running.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, mainly like telling myself that too. Because I like don't want to be. I'm very bullish, but I don't want to be like. I just don't want to do dumb stuff because I know I've done that in the past where I wanted to catch up to something and I got in a trade that like I should not have gotten into, and I like you said, Seinfeld, like top blasted stuff that ran a ton because I'm like, oh, it's just gonna keep going up. Like everything's great. But it's just like a bad entry, and it just wasn't like what my normal rules are. So um, yeah, I think just keeping cognizant of your emotion is always super important.
I really like that post by Brian Armstrong that I shared earlier, the CEO of Coinbase. How many basically pro crypto candidates were elected? For the House of Representatives, 205 were elected and 99 were anti crypto. And in the Senate, 14 pro crypto candidates got elected and 8 anti crypto candidates. I mean, yeah, for sure. Obviously, keep it in check. But these things are the things we want to see. It's the first time ever we have so many pro crypto government officials. That's the first time we even have like them in the office. I mean, as a president, right? Someone that's so pro crypto, and he has Elon right there with him that loves crypto. I mean, it's cool, man. I mean, we can really do things this year. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun cycle.
Yeah, once they finally fire Gary Gensler, that's when I think things go insane.
I agree, and I think a lot of people are already anticipating it and playing on that news. Like we just saw, I don't know if it's related, but even Kraken, they just listed Pepe, and they're not really big on meme coins usually. So it's cool to see a few of them take chances where they wouldn't usually, and we might see that more and more. Maybe even people like maybe even companies like Coinbase might start taking swings at other coins that they don't usually as soon as changes happen. So it's cool. It gives our meme coins a chance.
Yeah, I honestly I saw that tweet from the CEO of Coinbase as like basically signaling they are going to drop a token for base. I mean, that might just be hopium on my end, but it really seems like the regulatory framework is going to be cleared up for a lot of these American companies to start going nuts.
Even Farouk put MetaMask and OpenSea on blast. He's like, your chances now. Drop a token. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, yeah, really good shout on that. Yeah, I loved that they're like tracking this, like the stand with crypto site. It was sweet for this for the election. Like you said, like 257. I just posted some screenshots in voice hangout chat too, and I also did like the link to where you can look at all this stuff. But 257 pro crypto to the House versus 116 anti crypto, as they call them, to the House, and then 16 to the Senate, and then 12 anti in the Senate, which that was a little bit bigger discrepancy. But I mean, I don't know what the results were before this. That'd be cool to see like what the change was. I don't know if you guys have seen that anywhere, but um, I think I would think that it's an improvement on what we've had right now.
If anything, if anything, yeah, it's gonna just push regulation. It doesn't mean it's gonna be instant green light for like free for alls, obviously, but it just means that we're finally gonna get a better legal framework for how things should operate, and that's what we want to see. That might cause some FUD sometimes. They might come out with some things that the market reacts to negatively, but overall, I mean, it's very positive. We wanted this to happen, and it was happening in all the wrong ways before. You didn't want all these companies getting sued for these stupid rules and stuff, right? You want them to work with those companies to find out how they can advance the space, and I think that's what we're finally going to get to see.
Yeah, and there's also this map that says when a state turns purple, it means a pro crypto candidate has been elected. And if you can see the map, that like basically the whole United States is purple. So I thought that was really cool that just like it's not like it's all like concentrated in like certain area. It's not like it's all like in California or New York or whatever. Um, it's like all over the place that people are supporting crypto like all over the nation. I think that's um a good visualization to show just like um it's not like any like partisan issue or whatever, it's everyone across the country at least. I know this is international community. We're talking about U.S. a lot, but just for like these elections, like it's everyone across the country that has pro crypto people, and that's good to see. Yeah.
But even if it's U.S., I mean, the U.S. sneezes when it comes to crypto and it affects the whole market. So it's very important for everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a really cool site. Especially if you're in US and you want to see like your local politicians or whatever and like what their stances are. They'll give like individual breakdowns, like what comments they've made on crypto in the past. But yeah, let's get back to shitcoins.
Let's do it.
Um, yeah, I think in general, I think we could talk about. I mean, I know I touched on like I think it's gonna be bigger coins right now. They're gonna be a lot of the play, but there's always gonna be new runners. Um, I think right now we're kind of just like it was like obviously a lot of political stuff that's been doing well. Like Peanut became a politicized coin, and then um what was the other one? Like Department of Government Efficiency, whatever on ETH was one as well that ran like crazy. Um, but I feel like after now that like election's over, people are kind of going to go back to their normal lives, and they're not gonna really care about the political stuff anymore. So I'm personally like trying to scale out of different like political coins. I'm almost out of my peanut position, but I don't know. I feel like right now we're kind of just like watching and waiting to see what the meta will be. So I'm just kind of on the lookout for new stuff that's interesting. Um, there could be. I would also watch like some of the main stuff, like I think Flog and Goat are both interesting ones to watch. Like they're both kind of creeping up. Well, maybe even more than creeping up. They're both like ripping pretty hard. And like for instance, if Goat starts making new all-time highs, starts going to 1 billion, I could see that trickle down to other AI coins, and it could still be, a lot of other AI coins running like kind of in comparison, and then also same for Goat. We've seen like these other like artist coins start to do well. I think Suki was one of them. It's doing pretty well too. Um, so I think it's just kind of a good lesson to look out for like when there is a main runner, and it's like um it's really outperforming like the other memes of like different categories. Like that's usually a good sign that like the quote unquote like beta plays will outperform as well. And then that's a lot of times when like a new meta can start.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the exact. We're so aligned right now. It's crazy how I guess experience is starting to show. I'm completely liquid. I've sold everything off. I was thinking of buying. I was thinking of keeping Peanut in case, like, it gets listed and stuff, and it still might. I mean, but then I was calculating the risk reward, and I'm like, man, I caught most of the upside, I think. And even if it 2x's or 3x's from here, I'm risking all my soul in this coin. That basically I got lucky enough that it popped right back up to my original exit point, that I shouldn't risk it and hold on forever. I might still buy if I see I might still buy if I see that it dips enough and I see that there's a listing coming. But in reality, double or triple dipping never works out for me. I'm probably just gonna wait on the sidelines, park my money in Sol or even in Swag, and just wait for something to pop up. Wait for a meta to shake out. Kind of like you said. I don't think I want to be in political coins right now, and even Peanut like the elections are done. They use that as a weapon against the Democrats. It doesn't mean they're going to keep posting about Peanut now every day. I don't think they need to. So outside of maybe a couple of listings that might come because of volume, or even like people posted that he had a whole in memoriam show happening at his warehouse, little things like that. And people just on Twitter posting about it all the time because it's more of a Harambe coin now, and people want to remember the Peanut itself. I mean, I don't know. I think I caught most of the upside, and that's why I got rid of it. And I'm just waiting now to see what else shakes out.
Yeah, full agreement. I think it's important to constantly like think about what like how much percentage a coin is of your total portfolio too. Like especially when you hit a big one like Peanut for example. Like um, I think there can be I've certainly fallen like into this too where I like I've it's already done so well, so it's like obviously already confirmed like your bullishness on the coin itself, so you feel like so good about that specific coin because you've already made a lot of money on it that like at some point even if it like stops even if it like starts to slow down a bit, you kind of just like still thinking, oh, it's like it's gonna go a lot higher. Like that's why I've held it this long, right? Um, but I think it's really good to like still analyze like okay, well, like what's the value of this coin and like how much what's like the value of my position in this coin, I mean, and like how much of that is like of my total like bankroll that I'm using for trading, and if it's like a very significant amount, like that's probably a good indicator that you need to scale out of some of that coin. Um, because especially and we say this all the time, but liquidity is king, and that's especially the case for when there's a bull market and there's new opportunities every day. Like yeah, maybe it does 2x again, like right, maybe it does 3x or whatever from here, um, but maybe that doesn't even happen for like another month or two. And you could have used all of that liquid for other stuff, and like maybe you would hit a 10x or whatever in that time. I don't know. Um, I think you have to. I think it's really important to constantly think about like what's the real upside from this current moment, not from when I got my entry a long time ago. And also like how long is it gonna take? Like, is it gonna be is it something that's gonna be like tomorrow or like or is it probably gonna take a little while for me to capture um that big a move? Whereas I could like I could better spend in my liquid on other opportunities because when stuff starts ripping and there's a bull market, like there's gonna be opportunities everywhere.
Yeah, and even on the mental side of it, if we just back up a little bit, like think about it, a lot of us probably got wrecked coming into Peanut, right? With the AI meta, not a lot of us did well. We were
Yeah.
down, let's say, that's what happened with me. I was down and I needed a win, so I got into Peanut, and that one did well for me. Like, we were already thinking before that, oh, if I get my next win, I need to make liquidity and cash out. Your mentality shouldn't change now that you're actually up. You should be thinking, okay, I need to be strict. I needed this liquidity. I got it. Let me not get married to this bag. Let me sell it. And okay, now I'm back to where I was before making all these mistakes. Let me think how I'm going to use this liquidity now. If you're switching your mentality now that you hit your goal of, oh, I needed that liquidity and I hit that liquidity. If you're changing, well, basically you're gambling. You're not even playing smart anymore. You're just looking to ways to increase on a bag that already caught majority of the upside. You got in a way you got lucky, or you saw the coin at the right time. You were in the right coin. You made it all back. Well, don't compound your mistakes now. Don't go back and say, "Oh, Peanut's great. It's going to a billion." It might not happen, and you don't want to risk that, right? So just hit your goals and get out. You might be able to get a re-entry if you really want to. I mean, we saw this coin go from 0 to 140 to back down to 30, 30. 30. That means it's in the range of outcomes that it goes back to 30. So you don't want to risk that, and that's how I just thought of it. I had actually bought back in and sold right away. I'm like, nah, I'm making a mistake here. I shouldn't be gambling this away again. And I just decided to keep the liquidity. But it's just really taking a step back and looking at the field and be like, man, a week ago I had no liquidity. I'm about to make the same mistake and just watch this coin bleed potentially. So yeah, it's just about learning from your past mistakes and keeping your liquidity.
Um, cool. Yeah, I was gonna change the subject. Any other thoughts? From anyone out there in the crowd? Appreciate y'all joining us.
I had a question I've been waiting to ask you guys and kind of pick apart a little bit. But if you have something else, Jake, I can always wait. No problem.
No, you can go ahead.
I And so I agree with what your thought process is. That like I think it's going to go back to bigger memes for now, and eventually it'll come back there, right, and be heavier to the risk side of things. But I guess the question I had is looking back, Peanut, Flog, Goat. I don't know. You pick it, right? I was hoping we can like spend a couple minutes on like why were those good? Why do you think those were successful? Like what do you see you or anybody see at the beginning? What do you think built up? What you like? Like what makes a really good meme actually a meme? Is that something we could talk about for a couple minutes? And why do other ones fail, for
Yeah.
instance?
Yeah, we can do Peanut as an example since that's like most of my recent memory. Um, for Peanut, I can just speak for like myself and why I thought it was a good meme. Um, it was just a really interesting story. Just like this squirrel gets rescued, and by this guy, and then it's like becomes TikTok famous and all that, and like that in itself is like, oh, like that, like you could see like a coin just being because like this is a squirrel that got rescued, right? And it's like popular on TikTok, like that in itself, I could see being a meme coin. I don't know if it'd have crazy upside, but obviously we've seen a ton of like TikTok animal coins before in the past. But then there's this new layer of, oh, like the government just comes in and raids this guy's house and takes his squirrel. Uh and that like kind of just adds another layer onto it where it's like, all right, now this and then it's like becomes a story, and like um you're seeing it on like major news sites, and it's like it's like a compelling enough story. It's like memeable because it's like a squirrel, it's an animal, and obviously animal coins have been like the best meme coins. If you just look at all the top highest market cap meme coins, I don't think anyone can really disagree with that. Um, so just the fact that it's animal, it's like a kind of it's an interesting story. It's getting mainstream attention, right? Those are all like pretty good, like tickers of like, all right, this like could make a good meme. And then the fact that like it was a really good entry when we first started talking about it, like it was under $1 million at the time, and like you have like this kind of like good narrative, animal, and also like you can get a good entry on it where it's under $1 million, and you've seen kind of like similar stuff run pretty high. That I thought, all right, this is like a pretty good entry. So that's when I got in, and then um, the squirrel, like the next day, right? That the squirrel gets killed. He gets euthanized, and then it becomes like, oh, like then it's like, all right, this is like a big deal now because we've seen what happens with we saw what happened with Harambe. Like, I already know that Harambe ran up like crazy. Like, Harambe was over $100 million coin at its peak, and it still is sitting at like 30 or 40 million or whatever. I'm not sure what it is right now, and that was like a long ass time ago. The Harambe meme was. Um, so it obviously like resonates with people, and if the squirrels is now getting like Harambe comparisons and stuff, and it's like fresh in the mind of everyone, then that's a big deal, right? So I think it's like constantly like analyzing like what is there new information that can continue to propel, and there kind of kept being new info for Peanut because it was obviously like the trigger was that the state or whatever raided the house and took him. That was like the main trigger for the coin to get created, and then like the big catalyst was them euthanizing this squirrel, and then it like kind of kept snowballing because it kept getting more coverage, and then like Elon started talking about it, and Elon has historically obviously been a very big trigger for coins. Like a ton of stuff that he's talked about has been turned into meme coins in the past. Obviously, Doge being kind of like the main example of that. So getting Elon's kind of like blessing, if you will, and like him like constantly like shilling it, like just reinforced the fact that like we could go much higher with this
Not
squirrel,
only
and then
that,
it
Jake,
just kind of snowballed.
but on the Elon thing, it's not even that he was tweeting about it. He was tweeting the actual ticker, and people didn't like. He was tweeting PNUT. He wasn't tweeting peanut.
Yeah.
That to me was like, wow, okay, this guy's actually talking about the coin, but he can't come out and say that, right? So for me, it just gave an extra level to it.
Well, the squirrel's name was PNUT. I think that was his like actual nickname. or
Oh, was it?
whatever.
I thought it was the full thing, and I thought he
Yeah.
was just tweeting out the ticker, and he had a big bag or something.
I was off that day. Were you guys also looking at like Cabal and holder metrics and shit like that? Was that part of it, or was it just a low market cap, good entry? The rest of the stuff's dusting up. I just think it's gonna go. Is that your
Yeah,
thought
I don't
process?
think you needed all that for this one specifically. I didn't look at a single holder. I just knew that the narrative was good, and you don't need many holders when it's on the news and when you know it's being used as a political tool. Like, I mean, that's the biggest thing you can ask for, really. Like, it's part of the actual real life meta right now. It's politics. They're using this scroll as a tool to win the election, and they're not shutting up about it every single day. So, I mean, that's all you really needed in my mind to, I even bought.
I'd say it's still important, because there could be risk of like PvP on this kind of stuff when it's a mainstream meme.
For sure.
Um, so if it's like too heavily concentrated or too bundled or whatever, that could lead to like way too much sell pressure and like a lot of like big smart whales like not wanting to ape that specific coin because it's like they know that like they're just gonna get dumped on. Um, for instance, at like higher market caps, so then people like rotate to a different one. So it's still important in my opinion. It's just not like crazy important. It's just kind of like one of those things where it's like a checklist. Like, is this like a healthy enough coin that it could run based on there's not the crazy amount of holders. It's not super bundled or whatever. And I mean, I think it was bundled, but it got like all the bundled supply got sold off, so it didn't really matter. And it was already running after it was sold off. So at that point, it didn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. It's still part of our regular checklist to check all these things. But for this one specifically, I didn't, at the time that that it started running the way it did, it was less important to me. I just looked at narrative. But in general, yeah, it's a good reminder. We need to check these things every single coin. Like, there's scammers everywhere and there's going to be PvP every day. And do you really want to buy a coin that's bundled 80%, knowing that you're going to get wrecked in 2 seconds and lose everything? Nah, not really. So obviously a great reminder there.
Can we contrast that with Flog real fast? Because I know Jinzo, you love
Yeah.
Flog. I know you do too, Jake. But
Flog's
I know
very different. Flog's very different because it launched at a very different time. It launched in July, August when nothing really was running, and but for me it was a bit of a different one because the art was great. That's the number one thing for me when it came out, was that it really stood out, and it wasn't like it came out at a time where a lot of people were dropping different types of cute PFPs that might compete with Pepe. Like, we saw Mumu come out and a bunch of other ones that were fighting for position in a way. But what I liked about Fog is that it was completely different, and the guy wasn't trying too hard. He was just dropping images every single day, and the art was excellent. So I'm like, man, this one's good. I really like it. And I started buying it early, and it felt like the right people started paying attention to it. Cole, even Cole Therium, we all know him very well. Even he messaged the group, the owners, and said, I want to help you guys succeed with this. The artist who good DM me," and I knew he hopped on. And we've, like, you can say a lot of things about Cole, but his track record for picking projects is actually really good for some of the more conviction plays that he has. And for me, I'm like, man, okay, good. This gives me confirmation. I'm not the only one who sees there's something special about this. And it's funny because back then it was kind of quiet still. You had a handful of people that really like had it that this project stood out for them, and the ones that did the research saw that these guys weren't just scammers looking to launch a coin and make money off you. You saw they actually had passion, and for me, that's what it was. And it was a slow grind up. It took forever for Flog to move, and they went through their own share of problems. They even the half the like one of the creators ran away with all the funds, and the rest of the group, like the artist and maybe another one of his friends, took it over completely and relaunched, not relaunched, but just continued the project with no money at all. They had to ask for people for like donations and stuff to maybe get listings one day and to kind of reload their coffers. They only had their personal positions left, so you saw that they were grinders and they were hard workers, and they knew that they had something special and they were working hard to bring it to the next level. And that for me was just like, man, okay, I really like this. And then just throughout the whole summer, I was hands off, right? I was looking for projects that were something I can hold and not really pay attention to because I was in Greece and I didn't really feel like concentrating on the quick sells, quick flips. I had done a couple and honestly I did really well when I wasn't even paying attention too much to the market. I was just more selective. Um, but yeah, Swag was one that I had no problem holding, and I couldn't say that about too many over the summer. It just felt so good, and I saw that, you know what I mean. through ups and downs, the community was building and the holder count was building, and that's it. It was just one of those slow grind ones, and then fast forward a couple months, and more people are talking about it. You have Eric, EB7 or whatever, one of the big girls from NFTs back in the day. He started jumping on, and that's all he posts about now. And it just felt like the right people were shilling it, and it wasn't the same KOLs or people you normally see like Ansem or whatever. They took forever to get on this coin. And that for me was a huge positive because you weren't at the mercy of them and what they had to say. You had people that are actually bull posting it for real reasons, good reasons that we're talking about it. And yeah, man, that's it. For me, it was just a feel good project, and I never wavered on it. I just obviously it was I got it at a weird time in the summer when things weren't too crazy yet, and I sold it on the way up. But I do that with every coin. So by the time October rolled around, I only had like a third of my position left, but I saw it was gaining traction, so I just like re-upped with a big bag at like 70 mil. I just like went all in practically on Fog at like 70 mil, so it's been good there. But that was my idea of it.
So good, guys. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that, guys.
I'm not
So
even
good.
sure if I answered your question there or if I just ranted, but if I did, yeah.
No, dude, that was it's so good. Thank you, guys. Really, really helpful.
It's
Um,
yeah. Go ahead, Jake.
I was just gonna say, I think like something probably in general. On your original question was around like how to like identify, I guess, or like maybe like backtest like how like these big memes like really took off, and I think this is obviously more of a general thing, but like just like figuring out like what is capturing people's attention and like if it can continue to capture more people's attention, which is definitely like a foresight thing and probably requires just experience and like watching other stuff run and like watching what people like for instance on Peanut, like a lot of my personal conviction came from like how much I saw Harambe run. And with that experience, I was able to like be more confident in Peanut as a play because I saw people really liked this like similar type of narrative where like an animal is like unjustly killed and then like people really like latch onto that. Um, so I think just like trying to anticipate like is this something like if you ask like is this something that people like will really like care about or like capture attention of others and like also like is it and also like in terms of like entry is it like gonna continue to could it be something that continues to like build up or is it like probably already at its like peak of attention for where it is now. I feel like that like usually attention and price are pretty correlated.
And speaking on Peanut just a little more, I mean, our experience really showed there because and even anybody that's learning to trying to learn about shitcoins, I mean, this is the perfect coin to really dig into and analyze and study because it went through many different metas. One coin went through 5 different metas if you think about it. It went from cute animal on TikTok, which was a huge meta in in shitcoins. Then it transferred over to political meta, and it transferred over to Harambe meta, and it touched like you know what I mean. It touched so many different buckets. It touched almost celeb meta because all the big names were talking about it, and it was one of those where if you had enough experience to realize what other coins it compared to in those different buckets, you could have sort of a ballpark of where it can go. And I think that's what it is in this space a lot. It's okay, this meme coin is out or this shit coin's out. First of all, identifying it if it's even good or if it's just going to be a quick like scam pump on it, which 90% of them are. But if something comes out and you feel good about it, try to see what else it compares to, right? And that's what we could do with Peanut, even from the beginning. And as time went along, I was like, oh, cool, this is another TikTok animal. It could do well. It's very well known. It's just like a Mudang or whatever. And then, the next thing happened, and now it turned into another type of meta. And oh, wow, it turned into a Harambe now. And Harambe is the biggest thing that ever happened. And it's one of the oldest memes in crypto, if you think about it. And yeah, I mean, it's just always trying to identify which bucket it falls in and where the ceiling or the floor might be for a certain meme if it catches on.
Hey guys, Pocket here. I also have something too. That's like, I ran into this with Goat. I feel like if you hit or if you're on a winner like Bome, Goat. Some of these first ones, Peanut, kind of early. 9 times out of 10, I feel like they perform better and will have the legs versus making a quick 5x and then jumping on to the rest of the trends. And then that's what crushed me in the AI kind of switch on Goat. So, like, if it is the first, if it's gaining traction, I would hunch and lean towards stay with the winner of it versus trying to chase too. So don't get caught in that trap. I think you can
100%,
lose a
man.
lot going down that one.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's always beta plays that come out, and so many times we're like, oh, this one's too high. Let me catch the beta play. And you're right about what you said too, where there's always going to be like the one that breaks out and goes to billions is always going to be the new shiny thing that we've never done before, right? Like a Bohm was pretty spectacular when it came out, and it was KOL backed a lot too. But and look at Goat. Goat's the first AI coin that's launched with a Twitter of its own and blah blah blah, all the things that had it going for it, and it basically the sky's the limit because it's the leader. Anytime you try to play a secondary play, it's never going to hit the height of the first one, and many times, maybe 90% or more of the times, you should have just bought the main coin at any point in its life, and you would have probably done better than playing the better plays. So I agree there.
Yeah, that's funny that you brought that up because I was literally like had read this tweet by Web3 Quant, which like basically says the exact same thing. I just posted in voice hangout chat, but it says like unless you are planning on cashing out, always take profits is useless advice. Take profits and put where. Like winner by definition are so few. So if you take profits from winners, trends, and add to losers, stuff that hasn't moved, then pretty soon there won't be profit to book. Ride your winners and cut your losers. I thought was really good advice. It's something that I kind of wish I would have done more. Like with Go, like as you said, like with Go, I was like similar as well. Like I sold all at like 50 or 60 million or whatever, and I wish I would have obviously rode that a lot longer. But if something's like really breaking out, and if it's a new, especially if it's a new meta, I would say like betas are different in my opinion. Like if it's something um, where it's kind of like following other coins and it's not really a super original idea. Um, that would be one where I'd be more interested in like, all right, just taking my profit if it's ran up a ton. But if it's something new and original and like people are still fired up about it, it certainly doesn't hurt. I mean, obviously, still like scale out, like we talked about earlier. If like it's a huge part of your portfolio, like definitely like take a bit of profits, but that doesn't mean you have to like completely close your position down. You can still kind of hold some and ride.
That was like when the documentary came out about Bitcoin and your mom ran, right? We caught it in a few 100,000. It ran up to like 10 million or something, but then it crashed within an hour. And then that led into Go. So kind of just the mental, like you could have seen your mom not going anywhere. And then when you think about it, Go probably had the legs. So you got to just analyze each coin as it's running too, which is tough. Puts your mind through a blender sometimes, but
Definitely does. And you see, you're right. You said it perfectly. Like your mom came out. Outside of that little 5 minutes that we had it run and all the attention being on it, what else would it have really represented over time? Would it have become a top leading meme in the space? Very low probability that it would, right? So you need to think through these things when you jump into a coin. You need to remember that it's going to be very PvP. For most of them, it's probably going to be a few minute thing, sometimes maybe a few hours, but mostly a few minutes. And if you're not early, then don't buy. And if you're early, then make sure you sell before everybody else, or at least sell on the ups on the way up, because you don't know what's gonna happen with this coin. Don't get greedy, because like your mom, if you wouldn't have just explained what it was just now, because I remember playing it, but I forgot why. Like that's the thing. It's not memorable, right? So you need to remember to just go in and out and be smarter than everybody else and realize that 99% of the space is just trying to make money and move on. They're not looking to hold. So yeah, it's just you need to remember that like a lot of the coins are just not going to go anywhere and they're not mainstays. Whereas some of them that like goat, like obviously in hindsight it looks great, but even at the time we were kind of like everybody was kind of interested in it. The whole space was kind of interested in it. A lot of people didn't realize what it was. A lot of people might thought maybe it was fake until a couple of catalysts came out and just made it rocket upwards because people started noticing that maybe they should be holding this coin, and it is very unique and it's backed by the right people. So yeah, I mean it's hard to know sometimes, but mostly play safe and don't hold on to everything forever.
I guess I have one more question for you guys on this. What is your take into weekends? And I feel like every weekend is switches. Some weekends they're hot, some they're cold. Do you just not touch everything? Do you try to sell going into Thursday, Friday, and then look to buy Monday, or do you hold through the weekend? Don't look at it. Is there any strategy around the weekend plays?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say maybe a couple of factors in there. I don't know if it like 100% applies to weekends, but uh I guess I should say it can apply to other stuff too, but if it's like if I'm like buying a coin like short term and I know that I'm going to be like doing something over the weekend, because a lot of times weekends I'm not as like locked in. I'm like doing other stuff. Family, friends, whatever, touching grass. I'll probably like zero out any of my like short term stuff that I like don't really have much conviction in. And I'm like just going for a quick play. Then I'll probably sell off all that because I know I'm not going to be able to monitor it super well, and it could go from me being well into profit to being like going to zero if it's like some brand new thing. So that's like one thing. Um, and then also in the weekends, I think there can be there can be some like really nice runners on the weekend where they don't go as crazy right away, and like you can have kind of an extended period of time to get in. Like Ape Chain was a really good example where it launched on a Saturday and people weren't expecting it, and there was like a pretty good amount of time where like the main coins were like under $1 million. Like there wasn't anything really over $1 million on Ape Chain. Like that, like Curtis, for example, which was the biggest runner, got up to like 25 or 26 million or whatever. And it was like under a million for hours. And you could kind of just like get in. Just because it was so low volume. It was Saturday. No one really knew Ape Chain was coming out. And there wasn't nearly as many people like locked in on their computers trading at that time. So stuff is kind of more of a slower burn. Um, and it can go the other way too, where um, things could like dump quite a bit on the weekend because it's so illiquid, and there's not like a bunch of people coming in to buy. So if like something's bleeding into the weekend, a lot of times like it could like really bleed, and you get some really nice dip entries too on the weekend too. Um, so just something to think about. That's kind of how I guess I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I echo that. It is a little bit of a weird time. I think Sunday is worse than Saturday lately. Like the last couple of weeks, we had some pretty decent Saturdays, but I don't think I want to hold too much going into the weekend just because of how many people are offline. There's opportunity. I'd rather be liquid for those opportunities than to hold bags and hope that they have a good weekend and a good week. I think a lot of the times that if you do sell, you might get a better entry into your coins into the weekend. And I don't think it's like set in stone and it always happens that way, but so far from what I've been noticing, it's been pretty accurate. Um, even Goat, even Goat did the same thing on the weekend. I got shaken out, and then after that, it was like late Sunday, or I can't remember exactly which day, but it started moving again, and it did some crazy, crazy magic numbers. Um, but yeah, opportunity to load up bags on the weekend for sure. A lot of the times, maybe not always, and yeah, every week brings something new with it. So you never know what the meta is going to be when the new week rolls around, or if people are even looking at the same coins that we're looking at on Friday. So I feel like there's more risk of holding big bags. I don't mean sell everything on a Thursday or whatever, even though Fridays get a little weird too. Friday afternoon gets a little weird. Um, but just be more cognizant of liquidity when it does come to weekends, I think.
Yeah, yeah, good question.
Getting close
Cool.
to the
We're
hour here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're pushing the hour mark here. Anything else you guys want to chat through?
There's no other questions. We should shout out the field reports again. I know we shouted them out on Monday, but not everybody was there for that. So yeah, there's a couple good shitcoin field reports that we've mentioned even in on Monday's Wake and Jake, but they're worth it, and they're worth mentioning here because they are shitcoin related. But check out a couple of them by Gladiator. One of them is shitcoin trading, all the tools and bots to maximize your gains. A lot of us aren't very in tune with that side of it, and it's important to know who's in what coin and maybe what's bundled and what isn't. So take a look at that. And then you also have a really good another one by Gladiator. Your instant advantage in shitcoining by Gladiator. Read through that one. Really good info there. And the other one that really stood out to me and even to Jake was Lizard Capital's Are You Trading or Gambling? And that one's gonna help you center yourself again and maybe, try to identify what kind of plays you're doing and why you're doing them and give you a different way or a different approach of looking at the market. So definitely, always be working on yourself. And one of those ways to work on yourself is to go through these field reports and read through them and get some knowledge, not just listening to us, but go read those field reports. They'll help you out a lot.
Yeah, super well done. Really good wallets to track too, and Gladiator's field report. Lizards is super quick read, kind of get you centered, like you said. Make sure you're just having an edge in every trade, and be able to identify that. Boom. Dog had to make an appearance. Yeah, man. At the hour mark, I did want to bring up one thing because I feel like I see it a lot, and I it's like such a fundamental thing that I do like every single time. Um, and I think it's like super important. Like when you look at a new coin, um, especially like something that's like I don't know, like a few hours or less old. I'm talking. Um, always like I like always like search it in like a bundle um Telegram bot. I have there's a free one pinned in the shitcoin chat. If you look, I shared that, and then there's also another one um that kind of shows like fresh wallets as well. But the free one's pretty good. Um, which it'll basically just like show how much supply is still owned by people who bundled, which is people who like which is usually just the devs like other wallets that the dev like used to buy the supply up right away off pump fund like right as they launched it. um and like you want that to be pretty low, like certainly like under like 10%, hopefully under like 5%, hopefully under like 1%. um when like a new coin is going, because I've seen so many times people share coins and I scan them and it's like super bundle, like 40% of the supply is still owned by the dev and it's pumping, and that's great. But then it dies like a couple minutes later because or a few minutes or like 10-15 minutes later because the dev's just nuking it, all of his supply and his other bundled wallets. And then the coin dies because the chart looks terrible, because it looks like like a pure pump and dump. Even if it is like a good meme or whatever, those can get like nuked all the time just from a dev having way too much supply. So I mean, this is like fun. This is like I would consider it like a fundamental. Like I do every single time. I look at a new coin is like I check the bundled supply to see how much the dev has, just so I know um, if it's gonna get nuked or not.
On that note, actually, I really liked your call earlier in chat too, and I've had to mention it too a couple days ago. We're all for everybody sharing, and we want you to share as much as possible, but just make sure it's not a complete bad coin or a scam, like as much as you can. But also give us a sentence or two to tell us why you liked it and why it caught your eye. Don't just scan things. Like it could be just a scam. It happens all the time, but you know what I mean. Maybe mention it. You're just scanning, or even if you're scanning and you like a coin, just mention why you like it. We don't want people, first of all, blindly aping into everything, but at the same time, we want to know why it caught your eye, right? I want to know why I should even look into this coin and why it's being posted. So, it's just a little reminder for people. I mean, it helps a lot, and I think it's good for everybody to just have a little bit of info on what they're looking at.
Yeah, good shout. Even if it's just like a quick sentence. Looked good. Had some smart wallets, or getting a ton of volume, whatever it is. Just give us like a quick sentence. It helps a ton. We're all trying to win together here. Yeah, y'all. That's all I had on my topic list here. Anything else before we wrap it up?
All good on my end. Let's make some money.
Yes, sir. Thanks y'all for joining. Thank you all for contributing to the conversation. Let's cook.
Take care, everybody.